Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. It's been a little bit over a week, so thank you for your patience with this weekly energy report. I want to welcome anybody that's new. Um, my name is Jordan. I'm with Yoni Soul Surf Collective, and I am currently becoming a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have lived many lives in this life. I grew up playing competitive golf through college, and then I adventured to UCLA to get my master's in filmmaking, directing, and production. Fast forward to a couple decades of working in the film and television industry. As an adult, discovered surfing. I've always wanted to surf since I was little, and the ocean has always called me. I grew up in Las Vegas, the desert, some of the lowest vibe energy on the planet. But yeah, I was immersed in golf and very much on land versus the water, even though I knew that the water was calling me. So as an adult, I learned how to surf, like really learned. And that was actually my Saturn return, was working out and moving my body and getting into the ocean as a surfer. And so I absolutely fell in love with surfing, with the ocean. I felt like I was reconnecting to my nature. And so through that modality, I started to cultivate my relationship with my intuition and to really learn and realize and ultimately remember what intuition is and what it means to truly operate from our heart. And she spoke to me. The ocean, every single time I would get into the water, no matter how I was feeling, she spoke to me. And it was always a whisper from within. And it translates to what we know as our inner voice. And it's quite magical and divine. And so I began to ask questions before entering the ocean, before a surf session, to receive guidance. And a big part of my karmic story is learning to trust and learning how to receive, remembering my own value. And all of that comes from within. It is pure divine feminine energy. And so I would receive answers from this cosmic womb, the ocean, and she would speak to me through my own intuition, and it would sound like whispers from the heart. So as I was cultivating this remembered relationship with my intuition, because it is in our nature to operate this way, I created Yoni Swell Surf Collective because I was called toward what resonates for me as a soul mission to create a community and a space for women to empower themselves through the act of surfing. And now that I have done a lot of my own transformation work since I created Yoni Soul Surf Collective, I created it to be a space for healing and empowerment of the soul for others. And one of the greatest gifts it has provided is my own healing and empowerment. it makes me emotional because my pure intention was and is to create a space to empower women and to help them heal, to remember who they are, and to recover their nature. And ultimately, it did the same for me. And so it's very humbling because I think it's one of the greatest gifts to remember is that we need to prioritize ourselves as the number one person to fill our own cup. And if we don't know how to value ourselves, if we don't know how to nurture ourselves and soothe ourselves, self soothe ourselves in moments of um, stress and struggle and trauma, and then we're not going to be able to be there for others. And that includes relationships. Sorry. That includes family. That includes in our profession. That includes everything, our work, um, our community. And so I share this today because Yoni Swell is a community. And Etta, my dog, Etta, come here. Oh, my eyes. Okay. One moment. Etta. Okay, I'm back. It is a community for anyone who is interested in connecting to their intuition, returning to their nature. And yes, we do this through our own connection to nature, to the ocean, and yes, specifically surfing. Because surfing represents the somatic movement that helps us get in touch with our body and to help move the energy through. Surfing also creates a lot of fear because it's a challenge. And so we are learning how to trust even when we experience fear. And we're learning how to nurture that fear and make it our ally, which is something that we can apply in everyday life. And so we offer surfing as a healing and empowerment modality. We also offer astrology readings. We offer Reiki healing. We offer a class. It's more like sessions, like a series of sessions to help you learn about divine feminine energy, which then helps you connect to your intuition by learning about the seven chakra system. And in our retreat experiences, which can be one on one and they can be in a group setting, we offer the integration of all of this. And you can pick and choose what resonates and what you really want to participate in because some people just want to surf. That's great. I invite you into our space. Check out what we have to offer. Some people might just want astrology readings, or they might just want an Akashic Records reading or a Tarot reading because they are wanting to tap into their unconscious as a way to understand something, a situation that is happening in their lives. So I share all of this to get you more familiar with what Yoni Swell is. And it is a community that is intentionally available for you to connect with like minded people who are ready to heal and empower themselves and also experience the stoke and the joy that surfing brings, that healing and empowerment, um, that true growth can happen, and to experience the essence of who you naturally are, to return to your nature. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Come see me. Right now, in this recording, I am reminding you that we have our Gemini birthday special. So it's $75 for 90 minutes, where we do a reading of your natal chart, and we also do your solar return chart, and it gives you both like a deeper look at your own nature when you were born, your blueprint per se, and then the solar return chart is a way to give you a heads up on what you are going to experience perhaps this year. And a lot of that is revealed because we're looking at the houses of like where the astrology is. So come see me, Geminis. I love being of service and helping people. So come see me. And my website is integrated with the Uniswell site, and some of it is being revised. So I am inviting you, if you are wanting a reading. First of all, if you're a Gemini, you get a percentage off of any of the offerings. But if you are watching this recording, then I am offering you a 20% off of any of the offerings. So please come see me. I want this work to be accessible. And if that's what it takes because of the financial upheaval that is happening on the globe right now, then, I'm here for it. So please, like I said, just send me a message. I'm looking forward to connecting with you. So without further ado, we are going to talk about this energy this week by looking at the current chart right now. It is Friday, June 6, 2025. We have some very important transits that are taking place. And because I am becoming a therapist and I am weeks away from beginning my clinical hours working with clients, which is really exciting. So I'm going to slowly and gradually integrate a therapeutic point of view within the astrology, within the energetics that I am talking about. Because for me, the therapeutic perspective is the practical way to view the energy and to work with the energy that you are experiencing, that we are all experiencing. The work of Carl Jung is about archetypes. It's about understanding the transformation that happens within through the unconscious. And in his work, the timing of when this happens, when somebody awakens to their own unconscious and starts to completely decondition who they thought they were, that, based on his work, it's the timing of the Uranus opposition that we all experience between ages 38 and 44. So it's all connected, it's all parallel. And I'm not here to convince you of any belief system, because astrology is not a belief system. It's based on natural law. And I'm an evolutionary astrologer, which means I am looking at the chart from the soul's perspective. And it's not just about this lifetime, it is about the journey of the soul. And so that can be very liberating for people to process. Because when we look at a chart, from an evolutionary astrology perspective, we are looking at where the soul's been, where the soul is, and where the soul is going. And so this could bring a lot of peace to somebody who may have a lot of confusion around certain situations, family systems or dynamics that have taken place throughout their life. So I invite you to embrace this for whatever it is for you. And it can be whatever it needs to be for you. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you. And currently we are, yeah, like I said, we're looking at the chart. This is about 15 minutes ago, so I'm going to update it. I'm going to mention the key aspects that are taking place right now. So I'm just noticing that this Mars is no, it's opposing my sun. And it has a lot to do with like how I'm feeling today and this moment of revelation and being in alignment with my own soul's mission and purpose and having that validation from within. So we have Venus that has finished her time in Aries and she is now at 0 degrees. She's also opposing my moon, which is also very like astrology is observation and correlation. That's why it's based on natural law. We are witnessing how it correlates to our physical reality. And Venus in Taurus opposing my moon. You're not looking at my chart right now, but maybe I'll show this so that you can see, is opposing my moon almost to the exact minute in Scorpio. And my emotional security and journey, like recovering my own inner emotional security in life is about learning to trust. Scorpio, learning to trust. Taurus is trusting. Venus is trusting, receiving the divine feminine. Scorpio is learning to trust. Scorpio is oftentimes abandonment, betrayal, and the gross misuse of trust. And so my moon, my inner emotional reality is healing. My emotional body is healing from those dynamics and learning to trust and really learning to embody my divine feminine and to feel safe, really. So when there's an opposition, like Venus is opposing my moon, like the current Mars is opposing my sun, which by the way, that is a grand fixed cross, which I'll show you. An opposition is change. Something has to be thrown off for change to occur because an opposition is a tension between two energies. And there has to be a shift, a change in a direction. And you'll feel it. I mean, that's what a full moon is. It's when the sun opposes the moon. So when you're looking at these aspects, you then look at the archetypes and what the archetypes mean. Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. That's how we break down a chart. That's how we look at your chart in relationship to the current chart, or we just look at your chart and we look at what are the aspects within the chart. And those are the energies that are speaking to you. Those are how you know or how you realize like, oh, that's the lesson I'm moving through. Because the archetypes will communicate this to you. Okay, so Venus moving into Taurus, that's her home sign, right? So Venus represents everything that we are attached to in the physical world. So, and it's everything that you love in the physical world. It's also your five senses. So Venus is, it's creativity, it's beauty, it's number one, it's relationships. Venus in Taurus is your inner voice. It is, what is the inner relationship I have to myself? Do I know my own value? Do I nurture and love myself because I value myself? If you do not value yourself unconsciously, subconsciously, or consciously, you are going to experience the Taurus energies more like survival, right? Because Taurus is about survival. It is about going within and knowing or learning what are my natural resources that I can provide in order to provide for myself. What are the natural resources and gifts that I can share with the world just because they are needed? And with that comes your natural ability to create abundance because it all comes from within, but you have to be accessing this, right? So Venus and Taurus is very related to our physical reality, but it's also very related to how do I interrelate to myself? How do I feel about myself? And am I listening to my inner voice? Am I trusting that within me? And your inner voice is also your intuition. Your intuition can also be Pisces energy, right? We are connected to all that is, the universal spirit, which is also intuition. So this is going to feel very loving, right? But as she's moving through, she's also still the ruler of this Uranus in Taurus that is creating very rapid and erratic change on the planet. And this does happen through our finances, right? It happens through our value system. So these are things that you can really become aware of and start paying attention to. What is changing in my life that has to do with my value system, how I interrelate to myself, but also my finances, right? Because that is also Venus energy. Finances, money is energy exchange. So this might be a time where you are becoming very clear or being given clues about what your relationship to money is, but like on a subconscious level. Uranus represents trauma. It also represents liberation and pure freedom because we need Uranus to liberate from previous conditioning. So Uranus will in a very nonlinear way bring what is stagnant, the old conditioning, to your consciousness because it's been in your long-term memory or something that got stuck in your subconscious that's just been on a loop. So this is a time where you might be waking up to your relationship to money and what that means, but perhaps where you learned it from a very subconscious level when you were a child, when you were a baby, when you were in your mother's womb, or even prior lifetimes, because Uranus correlates to long-term memory. So that might be a theme that's coming up through this Venus transit, but also because she is the ruler of this Uranus, right? And this Uranus is the ruler of this Pluto, which is an Aquarius, because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So this Pluto is retrograde, right? In the sign of Aquarius. So it's uncovering, it's revealing, it's getting down, it's like excavating underneath the soil, underneath the sea, even getting to the bottom of what has been disempowering for you that is related to these Taurus themes, right? Because this Uranus is the ruler of this Pluto. And it has a lot to do with recovering your own empowerment. But Pluto will take you to the depths of the underworld where you need to confront your own non truths that perhaps were projected upon you by others so that you can recover your own truth to its purest form and then empower from there. So Pluto transits are very uncomfortable. And if you're going through one of these, it's a 2-year transit. It's a 2-year process. I mean, I need to go back and count the amount of Pluto transits that I've experienced, but I'm guaranteeing it's in the double digits and it might be in the 20s. And I'm going like I went from Pluto squaring my moon to right now Pluto exactly conjunct my Mercury. That's 4 years. And prior to that, Pluto was traveling back and forth conjunct my Venus and my South Node. And I mean, again, Pluto is about confronting your own limitations. So It's because of the retrogrades that Pluto has, and that's why it's a 2-year transit, at least 2 or 2.5 years, because it's about evolution. Your soul chose to metamorphose those parts of you. So again, just learning that you are going through a Pluto transit can be very healing for a person to hear, and validating as to trying to understand what their conscious mind can't, as to why something is happening. Pluto also represents the depths of our psyche, but it's the emotional body, right? It's how the emotional body communicates to the depths of our psyche. So again, it's like affecting your whole energy system, and can be very healing and validating for a person to learn that, because the conscious mind can only process and has only so much capacity for information. We do not heal through the intellectual mind. We don't heal through Mercury. We don't heal through Gemini. And we don't heal through the third house. We heal through the emotional body, which correlates to your moon energy, your Cancer energy, your fourth house. But that's just the river that leads to the ocean. So we heal through the emotional body, the etheric body, which is a part of our aura, right? And so Cancer is the river that you jump in with no clothes on. And through that healing and confronting and then healing and empowering, it takes you to your soul's wisdom. Scorpio, Pluto, eighth house. And from there, the confronting of your own limitations, metamorphosis takes place, and you travel to the cosmic womb, which is the ocean. All bodies of water lead to the ocean. And Pisces, right? So that's the Trinity. That's the water trine that is in the zodiac wheel. Pisces is the culmination of the healing taking place, so that you can experience death metamorphically through the emotional body, and then give birth to the new version of yourself. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to learn about this and to receive this information if this is something that you're going through. Because at some point, we all experience it. Maybe not in this lifetime for everybody, that's for sure. But eventually, you do. So the sun is still in Gemini, right? Ruled by this Mercury. And then we have these 3 planets in Gemini, where Mercury is approaching its conjunction with Jupiter, and then Jupiter is finishing its time in Gemini, moving into Cancer. That happens on Monday. I believe that is, yes, June 9th is when Jupiter moves into Cancer. And I believe that's when also, so Mercury meets up with Jupiter together. Let's see when they are exactly. Yeah, so Mercury moves into Cancer before Jupiter. So they conjunct in Gemini. So there's a year-long narrative that is finishing, because Jupiter's been in Gemini for a year. It stays in every sign for about a year. And Jupiter is about our intuition. It's about our truth. It's about our belief system. It's about exploring that there is more than this physical reality. It's also connected to metaphysics and to higher knowledge and to your spiritual wisdom. It's spiritual growth. And the lesson with Jupiter is you have to let something go in order to receive the gift. And Mercury is the messenger. And this Jupiter has been ruled by this Mercury. So there's some sort of narrative, some sort of culmination to a story that has been playing out for you within your mental consciousness, so that you can move forward and move on. Because then on June 8th, Mercury moves into Cancer, And Jupiter the next day will then move into Cancer for 1 year. And a lot of astrologers are talking about Jupiter in Cancer right now. And it is Jupiter loves Cancer energy. Um, this essentially is going to lead, it's going to allow you to realize your truth through a process of feeling first. So it can be very emotional. But again, we heal through the emotional body and we start by jumping in the river. The Cancer energy is that river. Cancer energy is also the divine feminine. It's very nurturing. It can be very overgiving. And Jupiter really is a planet of expansion. So whatever is present for you within your inner emotional security or insecurity, it will expand upon that. And then it will allow you and grant you the higher knowledge, the wisdom, the intuitive wisdom to come through for you to emotionally process what you need to feel through in order to heal, in order to be walking and talking within your own truth. So it's a beautiful energy, and Cancer energy really is about the home. It's about cultivating a home. It is about cultivating this home within yourself, but it also can relate to your physical home. And Jupiter is the natural rule of Sagittarius, which naturally rules like long-term travel. So there are some of you who could experience like moving into a new home, moving into a new relationship, becoming really clear about what emotionally nurtures you in order to move forward within your own natural state. As Jupiter moves into, I'm going to fast forward again. When this Mercury moves into Cancer, it will square this Saturn and this Neptune, which are newly in Aries, ruled by that Mars. Jupiter will then move into Cancer, and they will both square Saturn in Aries, creating a brand new 30-year cycle, showing us the trials of the new beginnings tangibly forming at this time. This square between Saturn and Neptune is going to be experienced almost like a paradox, because Saturn is very much about our physical reality and the physical structures that we create in order to live as a human and in order to live our daily lives and what that looks like. Neptune is about it's about natural laws and principles or timeless values. It's about ideals, right? It can also correlate to deception, and uncovering what's been hidden. So this could be experienced like in the public view as spoken truths being communicated on the world stage about authority figures that are no longer in resonance with where humanity needs them to be at this time. Meaning, like, if we have people of power in positions that are not in resonance with pure intentions and natural law, the good of humanity, they may be, called out and revealed, right? Because again, it comes back to this Pluto in Aquarius, who is the power of the people, and in retrograde, it's revealing and uncovering what is no longer in service and best for humanity. And with this square, again, it's revealing the information that we need from an intuitive level, but also through by utilizing our voice and by hearing those that are needing to speak out, like what is not in resonance with what's moving forward. Because again, this has a lot to do with what is playing out in our physical reality and what needs to be dissolved in order for the new starts in Aries to really take place with these two, Saturn and Neptune, who will enter Aries again. So they'll retrograde back into Pisces in about 3 months. And then in February of 2026, they will move into Aries together for they will no longer go back into Pisces, and they will conjunct together in Aries for the first time in our lifetime. So this is like a radical new beginning within our spiritual consciousness. And those who are not in alignment with that will separate, right? They will be removed on some level so that they're not on the front line. That's We can't predict in astrology, but we can look at what the energy represents through an archetypal value. And this Venus is sextiling these two. So again, there is beautiful support around allowing us to embody our natural selves, our natural way of being, and to really like bring that forth into our physical reality through our own uh, values that then will translate through our belief system and then can manifest through our thoughts that is in alignment with our nature and with our value and with the from the place of our intuitive wisdom. This Mars is, again, it's the ruler of that Saturn and that Neptune right here. It's also the ruler of this Chiron that is in new territory at 26 degrees of Aries. And this trine it is a first quarter trine. And so this is support around revelations in regards to what you've been healing in order to liberate, break free, and creatively self-actualize your desires moving forward, because they are now in alignment with who you naturally are. And you are embodying this energy of taking up space because you're worth it and taking action from there. A lot of my work is about education or educating others about divine feminine energy, accessing the divine feminine energy. And I'm going to close it here, which is Venus represents the divine feminine. Mars represents the divine masculine. But it's the asteroid goddesses like Lilith and Amazon. And there's so many others. Pallas Athene, that are echoes, and they represent the enhancement of the divine feminine that lives within all of us, but within our natal chart. It They represent our story on a deeper level when it comes to who we are, like what our divine feminine, our pure soul's nature represents. So my point is that if you're curious about these asteroid goddesses, please check out my other YouTube videos. Um, each goddess or each chakra within our seven chakra system has a goddess ruler. And so I have talked about the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and I have talked about Lilith. More are coming. But that is what the series offering is, which you can find more on my website, is about like, how do I connect to my intuition? How is a way that I can connect to my intuition, and how can I learn more about the divine feminine? The divine feminine, in order to create, must feel safe. So we all have divine feminine and divine masculine. We all have feminine and masculine energies within us, regardless of your sex or gender, right? So, but in order for the feminine to really go out and thrive in her own abundance, Venus receiving what she needs in order to create, Mars will go out there and create it. She has to feel safe. So if you are experiencing like an imbalance of abundance or some sort of imbalance of an extreme that's playing out in your life, it's because, or likely it's because, there is wounding around the divine feminine. Therefore, what the divine masculine within you is creating is a distortion of what it can actually naturally be. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to stop sharing. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. I celebrate with you this week. I celebrate with you Venus going into Taurus, Jupiter going into Cancer, and for all the new beginnings that are starting to become tangible and finding their structured form, because this truly is a new beginning and it's beautiful. It's very healing. It's very empowering. And if this resonates with you, please like this video. It really helps more people learn about this community. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share it with your friends. Come see me. I'm sending you oceans of love. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you on the next one.